Welcome back to the show, Respectfully Inspired. Today I'm here with Dino, number 380.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Thanks for having me, Ozzy. I'm excited to get this show on the road, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I just want to give a quick shout out to you because we were actually going to film this podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it happened to be the first day of the LA fires, and Dino said, Ozzy, I can't film it because I need to come out of retirement and help with the fires. And I thought that was really a heroic thing to do. So just thank you for doing that at your age. Is really incredible.
Yeah, thank you. So many of you probably know I'm retired Beverly Hills fire captain paramedic with over 30 years experience, but I also own a company called Celebrity CPR. Celebrity CPR is something I started 22 years ago, just offering everything fire, medical, and disaster for the elite, for the rich and famous. And so in addition to all that kind of stuff, as far as CPR training, heart defibrillators, fire extinguishers, I also provide private fire protection. So when all these fires took off, I was actually in Malibu that morning on the January 7th. I was at a meeting at one of my clients' houses in Malibu, and those winds were coming, sideways, and actually, of all things, and I'm wearing a suit and tie for this meeting, but before I left the house, folks, I was well aware of the conditions, and I threw all of my fire safety gear in my car, and I was prepared to go. So when that fire broke out, I started calling my resources and then deploying fire engines and fire apparatus to all the different homes. And I ended up staying there for about 8 days straight, fighting fire. And with my crews and I, and we probably protected about 20 homes. I think we lost 3 out of the 20. So we're pretty proud of our accomplishments.
Wow. So what does that actually look like to privately protect a home?
So on some of them, I actually had fire apparatus, water tenders, type 3, type 6s, fire engines staged at different properties with my firefighters there, just hosing down everything, keeping everything wet in case a hot ember comes into the property. We try to extinguish it. In addition to that, with all the fires, with the winds were blowing across from house to house to house, we were actually doing what we call pump and roll, where I had my guys with the fire hoses as we're driving down the street, and we're just soaking down houses. I mean, I've got live footage. I mean, I can share with you at another time, but fire embers, the size of $50 flying above our head. I mean, just fighting big fire. And we did our best, man.
Well, we'll put something, because they're watching, so you can't see this, but we'll put a video of Dino and his team fighting fires right here.
It's good stuff, very rewarding.
How does that compare to the worst fires you've seen throughout your career?
These Palisade fires that we just experienced, it's the worst I've seen. Ever. I've fought a lot of fire in 30 years. Typically, individual like structure fires, or in Beverly Hills, these mansions, when they catch on fire and so forth, they could be pretty spectacular. However, these brush fires with those high winds, and our hearts go out to all these people that lost their homes. I mean, I think they're up to about $80 billion in home loss.
Wow.
Which is just phenomenal. I mean, when you just drive those neighborhoods now, it's just, as far as you can see, just a graveyard of houses. It's so sad, and we're fortunate enough to protect the ones that we held a stance on. Between our guys, and then of course all the sworn personnel out there, all the different strike teams and the hard work that they do, we're supporting them, they're supporting us, and trying to do the best we can with the resources we had. So good stuff.
So we'll get into that later, but I know the people are here. They want to hear you talk about Beast Games.
Jeez, Beast Games, guys, Beast Games.
The way I picture it is they're probably coming straight from episode 7. I mean, I know that that's already out, but we'll get this up in a week. Probably right when episode 8 comes out, this will come out. So,
okay.
But most people are gonna watch you on episode 7. They're gonna come click on this podcast. How did you feel watching that episode back with the trains?
It was just bringing all those emotions and the energy and the relationships, just trying to tie it all in together. I mean, it was pretty wicked, to say the least. I mean, when we were down there at Beast City and they're throwing those black bags over our head, and our hands on the shoulders, and we had to follow each other onto that van, and then it was a long ride to the middle of Canada somewhere, where all of a sudden they kicked us off the bus, and now next thing you know is we're walking down these railroad tracks, and we had no idea what to expect. And as you know, Ozzy, it's like everything you anticipate, like we try to strategize, like what could it possibly be? And I know for the people I was close with, we were always wrong. We could never figure out what Jimmy, Mr. Beast, and his team were thinking.
I know we had guest stuff because of the billboard. So for context, people, they only showed the billboards a couple times in the real show, but in the city there was always a stream of billboards that would have an image. And some of the images were challenges that we had done in the past. So we kind of thought every billboard would end up being a challenge, but some of them didn't. Like there was the egg drop that never came up. But did you guys have an idea it was going to be a train, or were you just...
Right. Well, I mean, just to spin off of what you said, like, like Ozzy saying, on those billboards, and believe me, I'm all about paying attention to detail. And so in my sketchbook, I had a journal that I kept from day one. So if you guys ever want to, keep your eyes tuned, I'm not sure what I'm doing with it. Maybe Ozzy's going to help me, write a book with this thing. But basically, there was what I knew to be 8 slides. And every so often, these 8 slides would circulate, on these billboards. And one was the monster truck, one was the guards, one was the towers, one was Beast City, one was the island, one was the airplane. Yeah. That was the plane we took to Panama. One was a train. And that's what we're talking about now, is that elimination train.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And in real life, I mean, you can see it in the show, but when it smacked the Tesla, for example,
yes.
What was that like?
It was insane. When we saw that coming down, it was real deal. This is a real Freightliner, choo-choo, steam engine coming around. You hear it before you see it, because the way we were on that platform where the bridge was with the big lever and so forth, where they can divert the track. Basically, that train track, if you looked about 200 to 300 yards down, you couldn't see the tracks. They turned around a corner and there's nothing but 50-foot tall hedges, trees and stuff. And all of a sudden you just hear, once they set that timer, it's a 2-minute timer. And when that person is up there, so this is like a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, is all of a sudden you just hear, whoo, whoo, and you hear it. And all of a sudden you see, and this thing is just flying around that corner. And here comes this, freight train with steam blowing out of the top, with the horn blowing. And that person, whoever that captain was, is up on that bridge. They have that opportunity to throw the lever or not throw it.
And was it, how long did it take for it to, after you went one go, to reset it?
Oh, it took, just like much of the filming that, we experienced throughout the games, it takes a lot to, make that happen. Yeah. So by the time that first round goes, and they said, like we said, we needed several people to go home to get to the top 10. And by the time they reset the train and you break for lunch and everyone goes to the bathroom, so it takes a while.
Wow. I imagine a lot of people are wondering why you picked jazz. That was kind of the topic of conversation. Yeah. Why did you pick jazz?
So to be quite honest, it's like when we're down there, let's back up. Several of these runs went through, where we had, Akira, then Bethany, and then Akira again, so all that happened. And when it came down to the top 12, and that's where Dino 380's in the top 12 at this point, from starting at 2,000 in the Vegas games to 1,000 to, making myself going. And I had several people that I kind of, for lack of better words, we just stuck together along the way through. I just happened to be on pink team on every challenge I've ever done. I always ended up on pink team.
Were you on pink team in Vegas?
Yes.
I was on pink team in Vegas.
All right, there we
go.
Okay. And so I was on pink team in Vegas. So I was on the pink team for every bit of this game show. And then, so now fast forward to the top 12, I'm up there. As you guys know, back home, it's like, I turned down the $1 million. Yeah. I helped when I was on a 3-star where we had to throw the ball into the cup.
That was pink as well.
That was pink as well. Wow. And I was on that, and they asked me to represent. And so I lined everybody up, boy, girl, and I was, represented them as the captain as well. So people had a lot of support and love for me, which I greatly appreciated, all that. And they knew I was a man of my word, my integrity. I wasn't a sellout, and I was definitely a no bribe guy, from day one. I'm going for the $5 million, and that was it. So now fast forward to the top 12. Now all of a sudden, Jimmy says, "Hey, there's a twist. Whoever steps down as captain is automatically immune and is going on to be in the top 10."
Yeah.
And I look back, Ozzy, and there was probably 6, if not 7 of those people that I helped move along. They would not have been there if I was greedy and I didn't stick to my word. And I thought back, wow, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to step down. I'm going to advance to the top 10.
Yeah.
And these people that I helped, that they're going to help me back. And so I look back, but one by one, they stepped behind Tawana.
Oh.
And I knew my,
That's
I
rough.
just knew what was coming after that. And so back to your question, once Jimmy, does his little twist and his magic and the way he does. Yeah.
Well, before you even comment on the Jazz, how did you feel when they didn't pick you? Because, you thought it was a lock.
Yeah, I thought it was a lock. I was crushed. I was hurtful. I looked back, and I believe they may have caught this on the camera, and said they were asking me, Dino, what do you think? And I'm thinking, wow, no good deed goes unpunished. That is a true saying, because I helped these people out, and they had no love, coming back. And respectfully, to be quite honest, it is a game.
Yeah.
I know it is a game, and everyone's going for the W, and they thought I was a big threat. I'll tell you this. I've had an opportunity to meet Kobe Bryant, a couple of times.
Yeah. And
Kobe said, "Hey, they don't hate the good ones; they hate the great ones." Mm-hmm. And I'm a great one.
Hey, well, we're going to talk about Jazz because I know the viewers are thinking about that, but it's so true. How fast people forget $1 million was turned down, but even look at Jeremy. He turned down $1 million in episode 3, and then in episode 4, people are framing him as the bad guy because he can't take 100 people on his helicopter, and it's unfortunate that's how the game is played. I'm not on your level, you are like main character, but I stepped up to put the team on my back to do the hang challenge, and everything I have in my DMs is just, you're an idiot. Why did you, Matt's so much stronger than you. He's a rock climber.
No, that's not true, folks. This guy is solid. Ozzy is an honest man. He's, smaller frame, lightweight, his strength, his endurance. Everything that we learned about. Your motivation, right? Your reason for being there. For me, when I look at you, it's like your mental game was there, your physical game was there. You're young, you're fit. You know what I mean? You're going against a 60-year-old guy with 2 full knee replacements with a broken heel. You know what I mean? So
I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, you're right. Kobe was right, and it's cool that you got to hear that from him. But let's go. So Jazz, people are wondering, why did you pick Jazz?
So to be quite honest, I looked back in what I remember, because at the moment, the adrenaline, the energy, the vibe, and I felt it. For me, thought it was kind of rushed. They're saying, "Come on, you have to pick somebody," and I remember looking back, and I thought people were scrambling, kind of hide behind each other, and it's I couldn't get a good, even though I knew who was there, it's I wish I would have taken a couple minutes, taken a couple deep breaths, and had everybody line up and just kind of look them in the eyes and just kind of revisit my relationships with each one of them. Yeah. However, I didn't. And so when I looked up, I kind of went over, my first choice was going to be JC. Yeah. I actually looked at JC and I thought I was going to call JC out, to come join me on the tracks. And then I actually thought about his 2 young boys at home, and they're the same ages as my grandchildren, my 2 grandsons. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna spare JC and not take him. And as I looked over, I believe Jazz was the next one there, and and they had said, "Come on, you've got to pick somebody," and I just picked Jazz. Selfishly, it was probably, without even thinking maybe she had a close relationship, and that was my last ditch effort to save my own butt, was to pick one of Tawana's friends. However, that turns out to probably not be, they weren't as close as I thought they were. And I thought that was, so probably that was a selfish move, thinking that was my last ditch effort on saving my own butt. And then, and it just kind of backfired. So I am not that person. People, I was getting some bad rub on messages as well. So
I don't even agree with that. I don't think it is a selfish move, because you're in the top 12 and you want to win. I consider myself, as well as you, to be high moral players. I would have turned down $1 million too, but 10 people are going, there's 12 people there. You know that between you and Queen, she's getting rid of you, so your only chance is to try to pick one of her friends. So I don't think that's the worst motivation, to be honest. It's not like you're taking money to screw someone over. You're
Right.
trying to give yourself a chance to win.
I was trying to get myself to get over that next hurdle, right? That's the name of the game, is we're always trying to get over that next hurdle, that next challenge, and move on to the
And that's unfortunate that you thought about JC's kids and then he went on to like hit you with that speech.
Yeah. And not only that, it's like, so that was pretty hurtful. And I expressed that to him, and he says, that's, I forget exactly what his words were. Do you remember?
He basically said like she didn't deserve this, but no one deserved it, and you had to take. Who could you take that wouldn't deserve?
Right.
Like,
I had to pick somebody. No matter who it was, no one was going to be happy with it, right?
Yeah,
and so in retrospect, honestly, if I had to do it again, and Patrick, you're an awesome guy, but it probably would have been Patrick. More than likely, it would have been Patrick. And the reason I'm saying that, is that when we were in Buffalo, Patrick was sharing how he got invited back.
Oh.
As a second time player.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if they'll let me say that.
Huh?
I don't know if they'll let me say that, the Beast team, but I hope. Okay, wait, I got to give them context because otherwise the Beast team's going to be mad at me. There was 1,000 players in Toronto, but obviously all those players had earned their spot from Las Vegas, but all the people who won Las Vegas and earned their spot in Toronto couldn't all make the set. So like 20 or 50 of them couldn't make their spot. So what they did was they got a couple players who got out in Vegas to be as like backups. And Patrick was the backup that made it the furthest. So what Dino is saying is that he was the least deserving to be there, not because he's a bad player. Clearly he's a very great player, but because he had gotten out in Vegas, he was the least deserving to be there. And I know a lot of people thought that. A lot of people were thinking that if someone should go, it should be Patrick.
Right, and that was kind of in my mind too, because everyone was talking about that behind, he probably wasn't aware of it, but hey, if anybody gets a chance, like Patrick was basically a rerun, he got invited back, let's go ahead and, let's get him out.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on, behind the scenes that was, that I didn't think about that at the time, right? You're in the heat of the moment and so forth. So once again, as far as Jazz, I look back, I had to pick somebody. I look at JC, I decided to spare him. Jazz I believe she was like next to him or maybe over a couple. And then I just looked and they said, come on, you got to make a decision. I'm like, Jazz. And the decision was made and there was no turning back.
I think you were in a really hard position too because as far as I'm aware, Tawana didn't have a clear best friend. She was friends with a lot of people, but there wasn't like I had Nelly. Emma had Korn. There was a lot of people who had a clear best friend, but so yeah, you couldn't really do such a strategic move. And I love JC, I love Queen too, but why wasn't Queen getting hate for picking JC? But it's because they knew that she was gonna kill you, so it was like, right. Dino's taking someone to be killed with them. But there's nothing you could have done to satisfy it. You were literally screwed. You were losing and you were gonna get hate for whoever you picked.
Right.
So
it was a lose-lose, right?
Yeah.
And respect that. And then I would like to give compliments on gameplay to Tawana as well as Queen. Just the fact that well done, because had you not came after me, I was definitely coming after you. Right. So I think she knew that, and I knew that. I knew Tawana was just a solid,
she's really a great player.
Focused player, and to be quite honest, it's like I knew when she got picked as captain, I knew my name was going to be on the chopping block. Vice versa. If I got picked, my instinct is telling me that she probably knew that she was going to be my number one to go home as well. So respect Tawana and Queen if you're watching this, because if the tables turn the other way,
Well, and I love Queen. I didn't know Tawana that much, but she's clearly an incredible player with great morals to turn down $1 million. So
absolutely,
you guys are all legends. Being 60, you're the oldest guy who made it the furthest. Someone might have been older than you, but pretty much by episode 2 or 3, you were the oldest. How did you feel playing with all the young bucks and stuff?
Good. You know what? It was interesting because in one of the videos or when I was one of the interviews, early on I was approached to get double mic'd and cameraed. So I was they assigned me my own camera guy, and I was double mic'd for the majority of the games. So that was respectful. Pardon me. But yeah, there was a couple of older people like early on that ended up going home, and it wasn't far into it in which I ended up being like the oldest one at 60 years old, and being a retired fireman, and my children are grown, and I have grandchildren and so forth, right? I'm not rich, but I live a good life. Yeah. And so I was a no bribe, and I made that clear. I'm a man of integrity. I'm going to keep my word. Yeah. I want to see how many people can we get, further along. And so just trust me, guys, and I'll take you as far as I can. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I was going for the W. I'm going for the 5 million. And before leaving home, talking to my wife, Samantha, it was just like, hey, what's our number? What's our number, babe? And she's all like, no, if you're going to go play a game, if you want to go play your little game, go play it, but play it to win it. You know what I mean? And don't dilly-dag around and take a bribe. And that was just it. So that was my game.
Respect, yeah. We should probably talk about the physical challenge a little bit because, I mean, my team lost to Dino's team. I can't even think about it. It makes me cringe every time I think about it. But how are you guys feeling in the monster truck? Because we are so far ahead of you. Were you concerned or worried or what?
Well, let me, before we jump into that, I think one thing I was thinking about sharing, because they didn't, however, they interviewed me, when I went to physical, and they said, like, Dino, like, what are you thinking? You're picking physical, like, you're 60 years old, you got 2 metal knees, right? And so for everyone, all the viewers out there watching, so basically, in my mind was, once they opened up those gates and they said, we had, however much time to pick either mental, physical, or chance, right? And I'm thinking, gosh, and so I'm, along with everybody else, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And in my mind, I'm thinking mental. I think I already was successful in the mental it took a lot of mental, focus and not to hit that $1 million. So I figured I already checked that box for mental. Chance, I figured, hey, I drew cards, I rolled the dice, I did chance. That box is checked. I'm going for the trifecta, people. I'm going for the trifecta. I'm going to do physical, and Papa Dino's going to, put myself up against these young folks and see what I've got. So I'm all about challenging myself against others, and that's why I picked physical.
I mean, but I also don't think it was a bad decision. I mean, you're clearly fit. You're a fireman your whole life. The only thing I thought maybe was your knees might hold you on a speed thing, but I'm sure you contributed greatly to the monster truck pull.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely confident, motivation. I mean, You
guys had a lot of, you, Mikey, and Jeff, which were both, I mean, in the dad, grandpa age. I mean, you're the grandpa, they're in the dad age, but you guys have that dad strength. Dad strength's a real thing, bro. People just have kids and they just get stronger. It doesn't make sense.
Right,
but,
that's funny. Yeah.
I think you've mentioned the metal knees twice. I know the story because I asked you on the island, but they'd probably want to hear why do you have 2 metal knees?
So just working as a firefighter, just wear and tear, and then end up getting injured, and then end up fracturing my heel, and then both of my knees were, had hairline fractures, and so I was just hobbling, ended up going in, having x-rays, and then the doctor just recommended bilateral knee replacements.
You fell down a ladder or something?
Yeah, no, just getting out of the rig, slipped the step, went down, hit the curb, and just that impact is what shattered, which basically just sent some pain and fractures. And
was it getting off a fire truck?
Fire truck, yeah, exactly. So ultimately, so kind of got through, that call and so forth, and then later on, just hobbling and stuff, and then it was enough pain to go basically and get x-rays and so forth and MRIs, and in return they said, hey, you're going to need bilateral knee replacements. And then after that, did them 3 months apart from each other, so I couldn't walk for a while. Had to relearn all that stuff, and then now I'm back stronger than ever. And even afterwards, it's like I've done a lot of triathlons, half Ironman. I attempted Ironman. I've ran marathons. And so that was my, my physical fitness. I've always been into a triathlete. So,
were you saying that you had done any of those events after the knee?
Yes, before and after. So even after having bilateral knee replacements, I've done,
What was, how old were you when you hurt your knees?
Oh gosh. 2020. So that was 2018.
Dang. So it was a while.
Yeah, it was.
But you were able to do. Wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
So you pulled a monster. Where did the monster truck rank on hard physical activities you've done?
That was one of the heaviest obstacles we've ever had to pull. Of course, it's all about a team, right?
Yeah.
It's not, there's no I in team. And so just like, putting out a fire or saving somebody's life, it's like, it's all about the team, right? Everybody has a job to do and it's just feeding on each other. And once we were harnessed up and they turned on those lights, I mean, you there, buddy, you lived it with me. So, and well, let's back up. Once the push-ups, right?
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't going to hang on the push-up stuff. And so we're doing those push-ups. I think I got, I don't know, 14 or 16. So that was good. And with Mikey and Grayson, knocking out whatever, 70, 80 push-ups, that was impressive. And then getting picked for the team. Yeah. I mean, I was hoping I wasn't, I was hoping I was going to get picked. I was pretty confident I was going to get picked.
Yeah.
I do have size and strength, definitely.
That would have been dumb if they didn't pick you.
Yeah, so I do have size and strength. I mean, definitely I didn't expect to be the first person picked, and I wasn't. But I definitely got picked for the team. Looking at you guys, I thought we were you guys had all the size, the speed, the stamina. And so, and then looking at us, I thought we were the underdogs. And kind of knowing what we were up against, but not really seeing those monster trucks when they flip those lights on and those fireworks and those two big old monster trucks lit up. I mean, that was something else.
I mean, he said on the show 6 tons, which I hadn't known. I didn't know how much they weighed. Maybe they told us, but I don't remember.
Yeah, so times 2,000. Yeah, so basically it's 12, there's 12,500 pounds worth of trucks. The monster, each one had a driver.
So, I mean, but to put it in perspective, the boulder that we pulled in Las Vegas with 400 people, granted it was with gravity straight into the air, was 10,000 pounds, and we had 400 people pulling the boulder.
Yes.
The monster truck was more than the boulder. It was 12,000, probably like 700 pounds, and we had 8 people. Yeah, so it was very hard.
Each person was, I think I'm not good at the math, but I think somebody said we're each responsible for about 1,500 pounds each. That's what you're responsible to pull. That was your portion to pull, And now whether or not you didn't do yours and somebody was picking up your slack or you took on more than, if you were stronger than the next person. But between the men and women, it's like... I
was thinking, like, there's no way they had multiple monster trucks. So I wonder if they thought less people would pick chance, because a lot of the contestants had been complaining about how much luck had been in the game. So I wonder if when they tested it, because they test every game, if they thought like, okay, physical and mental will have more and then chance will be less. And because I'm thinking like, obviously you guys did it with 8. I think if we had been smarter about the bump, we could have done it with 8, but I imagine they probably were expecting 10 to 12 people because, dude, that bump was like, I mean, it took everything.
Yes.
For us to get the first wheels over, and I'm sure you guys took the second, it felt impossible, but after that challenge, I was like dead on the floor. But
right. Once they lit up those lights and they harnessed it up, but just in respect to what you're saying, if I'm sure they were ready to add another harness and a couple more straps if it happened to be 2 teams of 10, which obviously would have
made it a lot
split
easier.
The load. It would have been easier. Things would have been could have turned out completely different. But once we started digging in, Ozzy, honestly, it's like once the light, boosh, when that green light hit and we were ready to go, we were digging like, and it's like, what? We had nothing. You guys were already rolling.
Yeah.
And they were going like, Dad. I mean, I lost my voice. And I'm going, in my mind, I thought my nose was about 2 inches from the ground, getting all my body weight in there, trying to get that thing to move. And we could not turn a wheel. And you guys were already a car length ahead of us. And pretty soon we started turning our wheels. And then we saw you guys get stuck on that speed bump, and that was a 3 foot wide speed bump. And so as soon as
speed bump was big.
As soon as you were cradling that was, I think there's no coming back from that. That was so difficult.
Yeah, we needed to do it in one fluid motion, but I mean, we made the not the mistake of going first. Obviously, you want to be first, but we only backed up a little bit, and we were too strong for our mental. So on our little bit of leeway, we were able to get the one wheel over, but not the second wheel. And then, we had to hope. They didn't show how many attempts it took you guys. What, like 4 or 5 attempts?
Yeah. Yes.
And you guys probably had the extra motivation of like, it looks like they're not getting over. So if we get over, we're good.
That was definitely, just a spin on that. It was definitely a motivator seeing you guys trying to rocket back and forth. You guys couldn't go backwards and you guys couldn't go forward. So we're thinking, go. I mean, we knew that the time was ticking. And so we pushed it back. I mean, I think they only showed like the second opportunity. Like we got it up. We actually had, I think it took us, I think it was the fourth or fifth go, the fourth time. But we pushed it back like 10 feet and we tried it and we got stuck, rolled back down. We missed. And then I think it was maybe Eric Gage and Patrick, I believe. Yeah. Those guys, I mean, they're just smart and calculated and they're just, solid guys. And they said, let's go back. I think they said 15 feet. And so we went back a little bit further. And I believe in my mind, it was like that allowed us enough rotation for that wheel to turn. One more rotation got us up and over. And as soon as we got that first wheel up, it's like, dig. And I think it was Eric spun out, we're just digging into that asphalt. I mean, our nails were bleeding because we were just like digging in as hard as we can. It was brutal, man.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. And then I know some people think that physical was filmed on 2 different days. I've been seeing that. It was filmed all in one night. Yes. So I'd like to say no excuses. I mean, I lost, but I'd like to say like when I hung up on the thing, it was like 4 a.m. and we had already done the monster trucks. We had done the running. Granted, the running wasn't that draining. The monster truck was very draining. And I did like 65 push-ups. I was 3rd after Mikey and Grayson.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah.
I know. Dude, when I dropped, though, I thought that it was only Mikey. So I thought I was like guaranteed a captain spot. But then Grayson was still up. So I probably could have done more, but it's whatever. And I gave, like, all I know though, like, I feel happy because I gave it my all. Like, it was my best hang time after doing the monster truck, after the 65 push-ups. I just left it all as I could.
You can't ask for much more than that. Just give it your all and, just keep true to yourself, stay honest, you know what I mean? And I know we've met just, at the Beast Games, but I know you're an honest guy. Yeah. You met my family and grandkids and they took a liking to you right away when we were... But,
I mean, cool thing we can tell them about is we got to stay on the island together. So there was like, they didn't really show our island, the non-competition island, but we had cabanas, and each cabana held 4 people. And I remember when I was there, I was like, well, I know, at that point, you're so far in the game, you know pretty much everyone. But I was like, who have I not met yet? And you and Mikey were on the older end, so I went to hang out with you, Mikey, and Grayson. So that was cool to just get to share. In my opinion, Panama was the best part of the show. So
Yep. That was awesome, just being able to relax on the beach. And people were asking me like, God, they thought I was going dark or I'm going game mode. It's like, I was just relaxing. It was just nice to be able to catch your breath and, just eat an ice cream sandwich and get a massage and go for a swim. But I was swimming the Panama, the ocean front there. I mean, I swam like 1,500 meters every morning. I brought my swimming Speedos and my goggles and I did laps. I did 1,500 meters every day and keeping my workout in and then, going for, little spurts on the beach and stuff like that, just trying to keep everything moving. So... But yeah, Panama was good. It was good times.
That was smart. You told me in Panama that what was really important to you was that people would know how to do CPR. Mm-hmm. I wanted to. Do you have any like videos of you teaching CPR or anything that we could impose into this podcast? Or it's not important, but I remember you telling me that was very. Or it was an important thing to you. But
yeah. So one thing I can share with the viewers is that I've done CPR on hundreds and hundreds of people as a fireman paramedic. Yeah. I've pronounced hundreds of people dead, and I have a lot of saves and people that are alive today for what my team and I have done. Yeah. I've taken those skills and I've turned it into teaching privately in the privacy of your own home, right, for businesses and families, like I talked about with my company, Celebrity CPR. And so I think I've taught hundreds and hundreds of people in 30 years. I probably have about 10 people who have gotten back to me who have saved somebody's life for what I have done and I have taught them. So how powerful is that?
Wow, that is powerful.
And so with that said, during my time at the Beast Games, I actually taught, I think, about 11 people CPR on how to teach a life. how to save a life.
Yeah.
And so it was like with Misha, Alejandro, there was a couple people on Beast Island in the Red Box Challenge, Mikey and Vicky. I talked to them, I taught them how to do CPR and how to relieve if somebody was choking.
Yeah.
And so if I didn't win the fight, do we know?
Yeah, they know. You're already out.
I know.
In public. So
So basically, I didn't win the $5 million, but for me, it's like if any one of these people, they save a family member's life or a stranger's life, that's well worth. That's my grand prize right there, baby. So just as far as teaching someone the skill of how to save a life, how powerful is that?
Yeah, you're gonna have to teach me. I want to know that skill.
Yeah.
And we'll just encourage the audience. You guys should all go learn how to do CPR because Dino's personally seen how it saved people's lives.
I've actually, so just to spin off of that, I've had a couple opportunities, and I want to, get this out there one more time with Mr. Beast and your team, as far as all your philanthropy and everything you've done, and you've saved thousands of dogs, and you built hundreds of homes, and you put wells in Africa, which is just phenomenal stuff. Let's collaborate. And let's save people's lives through education and putting heart defibrillators in churches and schools. Yeah. And I can help navigate that. So let's teach the world, Jimmy. If we can save one life by you doing this, it's all worth it.
Hey, that's quite a collaboration opportunity. There's a guy who leads the Beast Philanthropy channel, Dan Mace.
Okay.
I'll try to, I'm not like I have a direct line to him, but on LinkedIn, there's some good ways we could go about that. So maybe you could reach him. Yeah. But if anyone watches this, please, let's make this happen because this is the lives we're talking about.
Yes.
I'm just curious myself. What was it like the first time you gave someone CPR? Were you like nervous, scared?
Jeez.
Because that's like a heavy thing to do, to have someone's life in your hands.
Yeah, it's just knowing the skills, and people out there, it's nothing. It's not too hard. It's just knowing how to do it properly. I mean, as far as you're shaking and shouting, sir, can you hear me? No response. Activating 911, calling for an AED, removing the clothing, confirming they're not breathing, and then you go straight into your compressions. Your hand placement's important. The depth of compression. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, head back, chin lift, pinch the nose, 2 full breaths. You keep going back and forth. When a heart defibrillator shows up, you put your pads on. You can shock the heart.
Yeah.
It's there's just some education that's involved. But as far as my very first time, it's like, to be quite honest, I can't remember the first time. There's been so many times I've done CPR on hundreds and hundreds of people. And how powerful and how rewarding that, when I can tell that loved one that, hey, there's people alive today that I'm still close with. They call me I'm part of their family just because of, saving their life. There's a gal, Elena Yashura. She's was 34 years old. She went into cardiac arrest at 34 years old.
Yeah.
My team and I did CPR. We saved her. We shocked her. After the third shock, we got her heart back, got her to the hospital, and she's home today. She's been watching the Beast games, cheering me on with her 4 children. And God forbid if we weren't there and we didn't do didn't do that, sure, their mom would be 6 feet under, and these children would not have a mom. So she's alive today for these skills of CPR.
Do you remember, this is like a heavy, dark question, but do you remember the first time like someone died when you tried to do it, or?
Yes, a lot of people die. Yes, I see. That's the thing about it as a fireman. It's people respect firemen and they say, "Oh my God, you're a fireman, you're a hero." But I've got 30 years of trauma. I get emotional about it. I got 30 years of trauma in the back of my head, and I can flash back like you're asking me to think about death. You know what I mean? I don't like to go there, but I can think of the death, the dying. So for 30 years, it's like I dedicated my life to responding to the sick, the injured, the death, and the dying. Right? People, when they call 911, people aren't calling 911 saying, Hey, Dino, come over for a cup of coffee and, come have a ham sandwich. It's like, no, something's wrong. My baby's choking. Somebody's drowned in a pool. My grandma's having a heart attack. The car's flipped over. It's on fire and people are trapped. So people call 911 because something's wrong. And what I've told people before is like, we're story changers. Firefighters are story changers. We want to change the way that story ends. You call 911 and we're coming to your house because the water pipe's broke and it's flooding the house, or your baby's choking, or grandma's having a heart attack. We want to change the way that story ends. We want to save her from a heart attack. We want to save that allergic reaction. We want to save the child that's drowning in the swimming pool. And so that's what we are. We're story changers.
Wow, that's heroic. And I love hearing how passionate you are about it.
Yes.
Like, it's just cool, someone who's willing to dedicate their life to saving others' lives and even taking on the trauma that comes with that.
Yeah, and then just putting our lives, and that's what we do. You know, we signed up to, saving lives and property and putting our life before others. I mean, I've run into buildings where people are coming out, right?
Yeah.
Because the building's on fire or people are trapped, and it's a real deal.
Do you have any cool, like, go-to best firefighter stories that are just insane?
Oh, geez.
Take a second to think about it. It's okay if not to.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. I mean, if you just want to hear, there's stories for days. You want to hear gore, you want to hear gory stuff, you want to hear successful stuff. I mean, a successful. I mean, I just talked about Elena, where that call was at 1 o'clock in the morning. We're at the firehouse. We're in bed sleeping. Bell goes off. Person not breathing. Right. We jump into our fire gear. We slide the pole. Beverly Hills Fire Department. So we slide the pole. Get in the fire engine, and this house happened to be just a couple blocks from the firehouse. We get there, make entry, obviously find her unconscious, in cardiac arrest, load and go. We do all of our CPR and all of the stuff we need to do, and then ultimately, going back 3 days later to find out that she survived. So I mean, that was a successful story. Another one was at a salon. We got a call. This fella, his name was Sean. He's a hairdresser doing his client's hair. All of a sudden, the client reports to us that she remembers him, his eyes just rolled back, and she heard a crash, and he just collapsed, and smacked his head, and he's in cardiac arrest. Called 911. We go into the salon, and sure enough, we shocked his heart. We transported him. He's alive today.
Wow.
I mean, some people just aren't as fortunate. I mean, I've been on, we have some drownings. I mean, here's a really successful story. Here's something where, for you people at home, learning how to learn CPR and what to do in case of a drowning and choking and so forth. But this is where the parent was the hero, not the fireman. However, we get a call once, and it was at Station 2 of a 10-year-old drowning. Right? We jump in the fire engine, lights and sirens. We pull up to the resident house. We run to the back. We hear screaming in the backyard. We jump over the fence. One of my firemen jumps the fence, opens the gate. We all come running in, and mom's doing CPR on her daughter. And so we end up taking over, transport her. The daughter is saved, right? No deficits. The daughter is saved.
Wow.
What happened was later on to find out, when we talked to the mom was in the kitchen looking out the window. Her daughter is swimming in the swimming pool out back. She sees her daughter swimming. Mom turns around to do something, looks back, and she doesn't see her daughter anymore. And she's like, oh my God, where'd she go? She was there a minute ago. So mom walks out, and she's like, honey, looks down at the bottom of the pool, and her daughter is stuck. Her hair got sucked into the drain, and all she saw was her eyes are as big as golf balls looking up at her mom from the bottom of the pool. And her mom, without hesitation, she dives down and grabs her daughter, and the suction from the pool sucked all of her long hair into the drain, the main drain. And so mom tries to get the daughter. All of a sudden, she can't get her. She comes back up and grabs air and goes back down there, and she gets those super adrenaline, like those superhuman powers you hear about. That's what happened with her mom. Goes down, gets the daughter, pulls her up, and this time the whole cap and everything, because her hair was in there. Mom pushes her. She goes unconscious. She drowns. Mom pushes her on top of the coping outside the pool, starts CPR. We get there and ultimately take over. And this is where mom was the hero, guys. So mom was the hero. Mom knew how to do CPR. And this was her daughter's alive today because of what she knew. So get trained, people. Take a local CPR class.
What about running into burning buildings? Is it like that, like in the movies, where do you guys really run into the burning buildings and grab people out of there, or what is that like?
I mean, it's all incident driven. So usually, we can't count on how many lives are saved with smoke detectors and fire
Yeah.
alarms in buildings, right? So when you hear a smoke detector, make sure you're changing those batteries every,
Yeah.
every 6 months. But smoke detectors save lives. But yes, as far as buildings on fire, I've been on many of those as well, where people are running out, you're running in, you're putting the wet stuff on the red stuff.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, it's a real deal. We're trained. We do that as far as when we go through the fire academy and on the job training. We go to different fire grounds where we immerse ourselves and we find out really what that heat feels like when we'll stay in a container. We'll light a container on fire. We'll go in there with our crew, and when that fire is just blowing over and you can just feel the heat coming down on you and you're squirting the hose line. It's the real deal. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was gonna ask. Oh, you are in Beverly Hills, celebrity CPR.
Yes.
You got some celebrity stories? I know you've told me one, but do you have just share any celebrity story?
Jeez, a lot of it just NDA stuff,
Oh, okay.
confidentiality. Can't let any of that go. But let's just say, as you know, there's a lot of high-end families there, and so
Yeah.
you never know who you're responding to. But we treat everybody the same,
Yeah.
right? A person's a person, your heart's your heart, and so that was my thing as far as my compassion for people. I mean, I've got a big heart. I love people. I'll teach anybody CPR. I just don't teach celebrities just because I celebrity CPR. Everybody needs to learn this education. It's just so important, not only for you, your own family, but for the person sitting next to you at a restaurant. My wife and we've been at restaurants on several occasions where we're having our meal. All of a sudden, I hear some guy start choking where, we had to take action. I get up and boom, and I do a Heimlich maneuver and relieve a guy, and
Yeah.
and so it's good stuff.
My grandpa had choked on something in Macaroni Grill when I was a kid. I just remember his face went completely purple, and one of the waiters came and Heimlicked him so he could live. But yeah, I'm very grateful that someone knew how to Heimlich in that.
I've choked. I've choked several times. A couple times at the firehouse.
Yeah.
I've choked being out to dinner with my wife on several occasions where my wife Samantha has saved my life.
Yeah.
Just we were in Spain.
Yeah.
We were in Mallorca in Spain having a meal with her mom and dad, and sure enough, I start choking on a piece of chicken from a chicken Caesar salad, and she recognized it, got behind me, and wha-bam! After the first or second try, it came out, and I was like, "Oh my God, how scary!" So it's a real deal, folks. So get trained. It's important to know.
Well, I'm sure people are seeing you at 60 wondering how you even found out about Beast Games. How did you find out about Beast
That's
Games?
a great question, Ozzy. So for me, well, let's back up the tape. 13 years ago, I'm on the job. I'm a fireman in Beverly Hills. I think I was already promoted to captain. So I was, a fire captain in Beverly Hills. I'm a paramedic. And then Mystic Art Pictures is the casting agency that they cast for the show Wipeout.
Yeah.
If you guys at home know Wipeout, it's that water obstacle course with the red balls and so forth. So a casting agent came into the Beverly Hills Fire Station, talks to the fire chief and says, "Hey, we're doing this obstacle physical challenge. It's an obstacle course above water. We're looking for a fireman. The episode's going to be called America's Finest.
Yeah.
It's going to be the fireman against the policeman, against the mailman, like civil service."
Yeah.
So they said, "Is there any of your firemen that you think would be interested in doing a physical challenge?" Who else? The fire chief looks over and says, "Let me page Dino downstairs," right? So I get a page, down to the chief's office, and he says, "Hey, this is Dino." He goes, he's one of our fire captain paramedics. This is a casting agent. They want to, talk to you about a show. And so basically, they liked my energy. They liked what I had to, how I held myself, and I was invited to be on Wipeout. So if you guys at home look up Wipeout, America's Finest, and cheer me on. So that was 13 years ago.
So how did you do? Or are we going to keep it a cliffhanger for them?
You guys are gonna have to watch it. No,
Okay.
Let's say I went all the way to the end, and then you guys get to watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it. I'm excited. I don't even know.
And so so now 13 years later, so Mystic Art Pictures, they reach out to me. They still had my name and number and said, "Hey Dino, it's so and so from Mystic Art Pictures. Katie Wallen, the president and CEO of Mystic Art Pictures, Katie Wallen calls me and says, hey, there's this new show coming out, which is kind of like a wipeout. You know, it's like a challenge. It's a survivor. It's a deal or no deal. You know, it's a physical, mental chance. You know, the whole thing. She goes, we think you'd be interested. Like, are you in? She goes, if you are, we can, we can help you get, we'll cast you for it. And so Katie Wallen, thank you, and all of your team at Mystic Art Pictures. They casted me, and there I was. I was being sent off to the Beast Games.
That's crazy that after 13 years they thought, because I mean, he's so popular. He probably had like 100,000 people apply or something. So to call you, give you that spot, and then you got 12th place. I mean,
personal invite to the Beast Games because of my relationship with Mystic Art Pictures. Wow. I mean, that was something else.
That's awesome.
I continue to have a great relationship. During several of my watch parties, Katie from Mystic Art Pictures, they call me on my cell phone during the watch parties, on speaker with all of the other contestants here watching the watch party, and they're like, we're cheering you on, Dino. We love Dino 380. And so a lot of support. I'm looking forward to doing more work with them. I'm in communication with them on helping technical advise some of the other shows, and so they want to basically collaborate. So that's good stuff.
Mystic, if you guys want to give me any shows, I would love to go on. I'm hoping that they invite some main characters back for season 2. Hopefully.
Yeah. You would know better than me. How does that work?
I know the internet and I know like creator social media, but I've never been on like reality TV. I found the show, which seemed to be not a common method. I found it through LinkedIn, and Matt, who was the other hang guy with me, who I gotten chosen over, he found it through LinkedIn, and I asked about 100 people and no one else went through LinkedIn.
Really? Okay.
So I think most people went through, and this is for the audience, I'm sure a lot of people, you want to know how you can get on. You're not going to get a call from Mystic Art because you got to be like Dino to get that. So I know most people came from Mr. Beast casting page on Instagram. And then also the audition was posted on all the like Actors Access backstage, which is like the actor portfolios, which is why there was so much LA representation. Yeah. But then I know they did some weird things, like they sent people out to cities. I know a few people who were like ran into a representative like in Dallas and in Phoenix. Okay. Yeah. I found it on LinkedIn. I was connected with someone who works for him, and they said...
I do want to give let me give another shout out for all you viewers for Mystic Art Pictures, guys. Look up Mystic Art Pictures out of Burbank, and they do a lot of casting for a lot of reality shows. Not only Wipeout, I think they did Holy Moly, they do like Home Makeover. They are always coming up with new type of reality shows. So if you're looking to get you and your family into a reality show, or just you, and it's by all means, go ahead and look at Mystic Art Pictures, monitor their shows. You go online and and apply. And good luck to you guys.
Well, so let's say if they invite you back for season 2, are you coming?
I think I would do it. Yeah,
I'm coming. For sure.
I'm excited. So, Mr. Beast, if you guys are watching, if you want Papa Dino back on the show, come on. Let's learn. Let's learn from this last one, and let's see how things go. So, I'm excited.
All right. So what about favorite moments? Favorite moments in the show?
Gosh, favorite moment. It's just every one of those hurdles, right? Just getting past those obstacles. And for me, I wanted to FaceTime. And I was really happy. One of my favorite moments was when Beast Games was dropping on January 19th. Yeah. When that popped up on the TV. Yeah. And my face was on that thumbnail for episode 1. That's got me down there, on that thumbnail for episode 1. And it's got my picture. I mean, I had thousands of phone calls and messages of people all around the world that we're friends with that are saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're on the thumbnail of Beast Games for episode 1.
That's crazy.
Only to find out that I was getting, quite a bit of FaceTime, which I was extremely grateful for, because that's exactly what I wanted to get. So.
A lot of people didn't get that for sure. I mean, turning down $1 million, they made it seem like in that scene where we turned down $1 million that you were the one who might fold. Right. But as a contestant, I wasn't on Dino's team. I was on Harrison's team. I think the general consensus was that it was going to be either Harrison or Tuana. I didn't see. People seemed to be very confident that you and Jeremy wouldn't turn it down, and that. Okay. Well, that was my consensus. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
I think for me, when I was up there, just in the heat of the moment, but those people just cheering me, Dino, Dino, you know, and me going up there, and I'm just pounding my chest with that mic, just going boom, 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 and it was echoing through Beast City of my heart, like it's my heartbeat, boom, 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 and I go, I've got you guys, I love you, you know, nothing's gonna make me touch that button. I mean, I was confident I was not gonna hit that button, and I wasn't gonna take it no matter what it was, and I was just staying true to my word. And then, you know, my integrity meant everything to me. And so, to be quite honest, I thought Harrison was going to fold. I look over it, and he just looked nervous. And he would not, you know, he's looking straight ahead. I actually made a $5 bet with Mac, and I owe you $5, Mac, because I bet Mac $5 just on a low handshake behind Jimmy's back. I said, Mac asked me, he goes, Dino, who's going to hit the button? I said, it's going to be Harrison, $5. And so I shook hands with Mac for $5. And I owe you $5, Mac, if you're watching this.
That's funny.
Because nobody touched it.
Because I was on Harrison's team, and I was most worried about my own team. But it wasn't because of Harrison or his morals. I just didn't know him, and I hadn't talked to him. And he was a bit quiet. And all I heard was that he lived in his car. Right. And I didn't know anything about him. And I don't know, you probably don't know this, but it was between, they didn't show this in the show, but it was me and Harrison who volunteered ourselves, and I lost the vote by 2 people out of 60.
I didn't know that.
So wow, I was like that close to being it, which I understand why people wouldn't, because I'm young. There's more incentive for me to like.
Sure.
But I gave a whole speech about, you know, biblical values and not turning it down, but I wanted to be there, but I'm glad Harrison was legit, and then he got out the next episode.
And so would you have hit the button?
Absolutely not. I would have turned down the money, even though I need it a lot more. Like I still am in debt from college loans, and you know I could invest in my podcast career and traveling.
Sure.
It's just I don't know. It feels wrong. Like I believe in God. I base my life on the Bible, and I feel like if I was talking about God and the Bible and praying for people, and then I went up and took $1 million, would it not be a good look?
No, I agree.
So,
I think for me it was basically just you know my integrity, just going up there and not selling myself short. You know, with everyone's you know voted me up there. I mean, there's no way I could break their hearts. And to be honest, it's like I can get out of my car at the grocery store, at here. You know what I mean? Anywhere I go, I have no regrets, you know what I mean? It's nothing but praise. And so versus people saying, oh, you're the snake, or you're the guy that, you know, took the $1 million and made all them, you're a liar, you know. I don't have that. I have the integrity, and it's actually has already paid itself back to me tenfold, because during the fires and stuff, I mean, a lot of my clientele that I've been taking care of and protecting those homes, they, you know, a lot of them and their children are watching the games, and they recognize, hey, Papa Dino, you know, Dino's 380, he's the one that's putting his life on the line, not only, you know, turning down $1 million, but he's also protecting our homes and stuff. And so the families know that, they respect that, and so I'm keeping it true to myself. So
I mean, if I was gonna have someone protect my home, I'd want the person who has that level of honor and integrity. I will say though, and not to the people on Reddit, they're just like haters. Like I've gotten hate, you've gotten hate, but one of the things I keep seeing on Reddit is that the dumbest decision in the game was to turn down the $1 million, because what they argue, and it's kind of funny when you read it, is they say turning down the $1 million is the dumbest decision in the game because you have a family and kids, and if you took the $1 million, then you could give your family and kids, but instead you're turning it down so you can be friends with randos, as they call it.
Right.
Which obviously they're not understanding how close we are, how long we've been on set, how much people believe in you. But what would you say to those people?
You know, to be quite honest, it's funny because I was getting, believe me, the guy, all my firefighters, you know, in Beverly Hills, they're calling me with the comments as well. And I wanted to know, hey, what are the guys thinking? And 90% of the firefighters in Beverly Hills, they all said, Dean's not going to touch it. Dino's not going to hit the button. They know me. They know who I am, who I stand, what I stand for, and so forth. The other 10%, however, they're going, you know, it's a game, you know, you're stupid. Like, you didn't touch it, and you're a freaking crybaby. Not only that, and you're a crybaby. It's like, hey, I'm a blubbery guy because I've got a big heart. And so, you know, respectful, it's like I do get blubbery, you know, when it comes to stuff like that. I get emotional. And so, but, hey, I've got a heart, and I'm looking out after people and stuff. But, yeah, as far as, it is a game, and I gave these people, I've known them, 3-4 days, or even a little bit longer, and then I'm turning down $1 million for them. Don't get me wrong, people. Like I said earlier, I'm not a rich man, but all those zeros, all that money would have been really nice in my bank account, but my integrity meant more to me. So. Yeah,
and I mean, you probably identified this, but at a certain point, like, your quality of life is not going to go up that much to be. It would probably go down because you gain zeros, but people are looking at you, and you, like you said, it's already turned into business and clients, and so I mean, I respect the decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it. I would do it over again. Just these people, they trusted in me, and I just respected that, and wasn't going to let them down. And like
even the experience, like I was talking to Matt on our podcast, he said, if people knew like the adventure I had, the people I met, and what happened, like, they would pay tens of thousands of dollars just to have the experience.
Sure.
I feel the same way. It was so fun.
Oh yeah, it was priceless. This experience, the Beast Games experience, was priceless.
Yeah.
To be personally invited to the show, to go through the different challenges, to meet awesome people like Ozzy, Matt, JC, Jeffrey, you know what I mean, Mikey House, Vicky. I mean, all these fantastic people, spending this, these last several weeks, on the Beast Games with them, and now watching the watch parties. For it to be the most viewed, show across how many countries? I mean,
80, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so excited for my experience. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more to come. I'm sitting on this journal that I took notes from day one, guys, and I've got everything written down. I'm going to do something with it. I'm not sure what. So if you have any ideas, reach out to me, and I'd love to collaborate with you.
What's it like getting recognized? You're one of the few people from the show who gets recognized on the street.
It's happened several times now at the grocery store. I was with the grandkids at the indoor climbing gym, and the kids were recognizing me. Just literally, it's like 48 hours ago, my wife, after all these fires and being in my fire boots for 10 days, my feet were tired. My feet were angry. So my wife decided to treat me to a pedicure. And so, believe it, yes, I got a pedicure.
Yeah.
But so my wife, Samantha, and I, and my daughter Camille all went down to get pedicures the other day. And we're sitting there with our feet in the tank, and they're clipping my nails and massaging my legs. And there's a guy just across the ways from me. And all of a sudden, I kept seeing, he kept looking at me, and sort of he goes, "Hey, excuse me." And I look over, I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Do I know you?" He goes, "Are you famous?" He goes, "You look familiar. Are you on TV?" And I'm all like, I'm not sure. What are you talking about? He goes, Are you on that Beast Game? Are you Dino 380? I'm all, "Yeah." And he's like, and my daughter, Camille, got to witness this. And she says, funny. "Oh my God, Dad." She was just, so excited for me. And this guy carried on. He has seen every episode up until, episode 7. And he's all like, "Dude," he goes, "I can't believe you took, you didn't take the $1 million, and I would have took the $1 million." And we were having this, we're both getting our toes done, and we're having this awesome conversation, across this guy. And he goes, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I've had multiple people want pictures and autographs, and I've had those custom hats made.
Yeah.
I've been autographing them and passing them out. And,
wait, do you have that? Because I think I ordered one.
Did you?
Maybe.
They're supposed to arrive this week. They got delayed because of the fire. Yeah. So anybody out there, if you're still looking for a Beast Game hat, give me a call.
So, I mean, your grandkids must think it's really cool when you get recognized because they're big fans, right?
They're huge fans. They actually had to tell me who Mr. Beast was. So back up, I mean, when we did that whole invitation from the casting crew from Wipeout, and they said it was going to be this Beast Game thing, and I had no idea who Mr. Beast was. I honestly did not know who this gentleman was. And then later on that day, we were out to dinner with the grandkids, and sure enough, I told them, "Hey, Papa Dino's going to be on TV. I'm going to be doing a thing with a Mr. Beast guy." And they're like, "Mr. Beast?" And their eyes just lit up, and they go, "Oh my gosh!" And so my grandkids had to tell me who it was.
Wow!
And not only that, when Mr. Beast came to Santa Monica, and he brought the $5 million and put it on the Santa Monica Pier, we all went down there. I was down there with my family, my grandkids, taking pictures next to the money. He had all those 1,000 drones getting ready for that light show. my family and I, we actually walked over where we saw the hotel where Mr. Beast was, where he had all his creators and influencers and celebrities for his watch party.
Yeah.
And so we walked over there. I had my jersey on with my grandkids. We walk over there, the guard standing out front, the same guards that we had at the games. He swipes the card, the doors open up. We walk into the hotel.
Yeah.
And we go into the reception desk, and it's me with my grandkids and my family, and she's all, "Are you here to check in?" And I said, She goes, "Are you on the guest list?" I said, "I don't think so, but let's try. I'm part of the show." So she checked my name, and of course I was not on the game.
Yeah,
I was not on the guest list.
It's the celebrity viewing.
The celebrity viewing, but the party was on the 4th floor, and I'm thinking, I got to do what Dino does. And I put on my thinking cap, and I'm thinking, hey, where's the closest restroom? I got to take my grandsons to the bathroom. They said, it's on the 4th floor. So sure enough, I go, come on, boys. I go, well, you got to go to the bathroom. Like, no, we don't, Papa Dino. I'm going, you have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so I got both of my grandsons, and we went up to the 4th floor, and sure enough, the doors opened up, and everybody was there partying. They're in between. People are just going, Dino, Dino, Dino. Like people that I didn't even know. They're coming out of the woodwork just, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm the executive producer, and I'm this, And all of a sudden I saw Kara, and then Michael Cruz was there. I mean, all of his buddies, and all of a sudden, does Jimmy know you're here? And I said, no. I was just taking my boys my grandsons to the bathroom. Jimmy's gonna want to see you. They go and they pull Jimmy out of the viewing party and pulls him out, and Jimmy gives me a big hug, and he meets my grandsons, Luke and Levi.
Oh, that must.
And he's all like, cool. Hey, he goes, your Papa Dino did a great job on my show, and I got a picture with Mr. Beast with my 2 grandsons.
Wow.
And so the kids were, they're the most popular kids in school right now, to say the least.
That's
you met
cool.
him. You actually met him, I think, that same day.
I did meet him that same day. Yeah, I had a few friends from the show snuck into that party.
Yeah.
But they wanted you there because you're a legend from the show.
Thank you.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
You don't have much of an online presence, but we'll link Dino's Instagram below. Is there anything else you want to share? If they want to find you?
Yeah, just at Celebrity CPR. I mean, my company, everything's pretty much under that umbrella of Celebrity CPR. My email is celebritycpr@mac.com.
Yeah.
My name's Dean Viana, but I go by Dino. My friends and family call me Dino. Ozzy calls me Dino. Beast Games, you guys call me Dino 380. But I had a great time. Thank you so much for taking the time to drive out to my home and doing this podcast, Ozzy. It's thank you. I really appreciate that. And for anybody out there, feel free. My heart's open to you. If any way I can help you in any way. But take your CPR class. Let me know if I can help. Hopefully, Mr. Beast and I can collaborate, and then and we could teach the masses on how to save lives. And so it's good stuff. So thank you, Ozzy.
Sounds good, bro.
All right.
I'll bring it in for a hug.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah,
Good
thank
stuff.
you.